Hello and welcome to this ASP.NET video on data and databases using Visual Web Developer 2005 Express Edition. We're also going to use the SQL Server Express Edition that comes with this to create a simple table and create a couple of web pages where you can see the data in the table, and we're going to drill in and show you the editing for that table as well. So it's a pretty common thing that you need to do with a website and data, and you'll see how with just a few quick mouse clicks and a little bit of code how easy it is to build this. So I'm going to start like I do with almost every project and create a new website, and I'll put it in my website folder. I'll call it Data Demo. Now, instead of pulling in an existing database for this website, I'm going to use the Database Explorer and the built-in features to add a database dynamically. So in the specially created app data folder, I simply right-click to add a new item. I'll choose SQL Database, and we'll have a simple table of authors. And if I expand tables, of course I expect it to be empty. I'm going to right-click to add a new table. And we'll need, here's where I can define the columns. Notice this is all just built right in, fully integrated to Visual Web Developer. The first column will be author ID, and this will be an integer. And I'll use the feature here with SQL Express called the identity column. So this will automatically manage a primary key for me. First I have to set it as a primary key, but it will create a unique identifier for me and take care of the automatic increments in that primary key. So now the rest of our columns will have a first name. I'll make it a variable length and last name. Same idea. We'll have a city, which will be fixed at, we'll also make it variable. State, which will be fixed at just 2 characters. And a zip code, since these will be US cities, we'll fix them at 5 characters. And finally a phone number. Okay. We'll save this table, and I'll call it authors. It'll be the same as the name of the database, but that's fine. And we're good here. Now I can go in and show the table data directly from here. And it gives me this grid view that I can edit directly in Visual Web Developer. And I could go through here and start typing in data by hand. But instead of what I thought I'd show you is if I close this down, close the connection, I'm going to bring up this tool that you can download directly from Microsoft. It's the SQL Server Management Studio Express. This is a version that's meant for if you want to go a little bit further with your managing of your SQL Server Express databases, you can try this. Now, I have to attach this to that file. This is the only tricky part. If you remember, our website was created under C Websites, under Data Demo. We have App Data, and there's the authors database. So I have to attach it and press OK. Now I can start playing with it. Go right back in. This is the same view that we had. What I want to do is create a new query where we want to take data from another database to populate this one. I have the classic pubs database right here ready to go, and it already has some author data in it, but the columns don't exactly match. So I wrote a query that I've already saved called populate authors. And in order for this to work, I need to give this guy a name. Okay, so I can do use authors. And then this statement right here will insert into our brand new empty database data from another database called pubs. So let's see if this works. It did. Now just to double check, in our authors database, I'll just show all the data. And there it is. Perfect. So we're done with SQL Server Express. I just thought this would be a good thing to show you, but to exit before we go, we have to detach this database. So let me close my little windows first. I don't need to save the query. So I will detach it and go back to Visual Studio. So now if I go back in, I can see that I have all my table data. This just made it so we have some sample data to work with that looks somewhat realistic. Okay, so right now we've got our website with our database with a single table populated. Now what I want to do is show that table of data in a web page. So I could just double click it, and I could just go in as a shortcut and just drag some of the tables in directly to the page. But I want to show you how you can bind to different objects besides binding directly to a database. So for that, I'm going to add something called a data set. Now if you've used ASP.NET 1.1 or 1.0, the data sets here are different and they're more advanced because of the addition of something called a table adapter. Let me show you what I mean. Oh, it's telling me this is basically code, so it's going to create a special app code folder for me, which is alright. So I have a wizard pop up and it knows that I have this one database in here, and it's going to take this connection string and automatically put it in my web config file. Good, using the author connection string as the name. Perfect. And I'm going to create a select statement to populate my data set, right? And I could type it by hand, but I'll use the query builder. And we only have one table, so I'll choose that one. And I want all the columns, but we're going to do something a little bit different. This column right here, I'm going to filter this entire table by the state. So I'll give it a variable, state. Now what this means, it's only going to pull back the authors that match this criteria where this variable is specified as the state of where the author lives. So I'll save this. So let me test it. And I have to supply it the variable here for the state, so I'll show all the authors in California. Perfect. Now what we'd like to do for our UI is to give the user, you and us, a drop-down list of all the distinct or unique states in the authors table. So for that, I'll switch to the Database Explorer. I'll just drag the state column right onto our data set and modify this query here.